All right, here we are on Behind the Table. This is a very exciting one. This is a big one. We are here with talk show legend Maury Povich and talk show legend in the making Sara Haines. You're almost there.
You could have just given me Sara.
Yeah, Sara.
Sarah's here too. I mean, come on, you're almost there. Maury was here with us on The View today, reflecting about what is probably the most sensational era of daytime talk shows ever. It's explored in a new ABC docuseries called Dirty Talk, When Daytime Talk Shows Ruled TV. It premieres this Wednesday. Welcome, Maury Povich.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
Brian. Appreciate it. Sarah,
It's so nice to have you here.
good to see you again.
With no paternity
I think the last
tests or
time I
anything.
saw you, you were...
Out to like there. Yes.
I gave you a gender review.
You also gave me a onesie that said you are the father, and that was our favorite onesie for
Of
Caleb.
course.
It was
you know who
reassuring
I gave
for
a
Max.
onesie to once? I think, John Legend's wife.
Oh, Chrissy Teigen.
Yes, I gave a onesie to her.
All right, well, there you go. That's a nice
Not
club
everyone
you're
can
in.
say they got a onesie from Maury.
No.
I mean, that's a big deal.
No. So our audience knows this a little bit. I started my television career working on talk shows in the 90s. I worked on the Montel Williams Show and Ricky Lake and Judge Hatchett.
So you know us.
I know this world, and it was, you can't exaggerate anything about this world. It was intense. It was a roller coaster. As a host, I'm not sure, how aware were you of the day-to-day of what was going on behind the scenes?
I was aware of it more than anything else because of the ratings.
Right.
Because we would break down, the ratings the way a football coach would break down, what was going on in the previous game. I mean, every 15-minute segment was looked at and then compared with all the competitors and what they were doing at the same time, and how come that audience grew in the third segment? What was going on there? And so therefore we would kind of have to go to the edge at the envelope more than the next guy in order to get the rating the next day.
Right. But
Brian can relate to that. He does that as well.
I still do a version of that.
With a not 90s
you can't
talk
be
show.
in this business
without knowing.
looking at the numbers.
No, of course. They call them the minute by minute. So I do know. I know what Hot Topics rate. I know what guest segments rate. I know what works and what doesn't and things like that. And it drives me crazy. I think about it all the time. But that does come from this era of talk shows. I had an executive producer that not only would do that with the other shows, she would keep a running list on
Who was
her,
your executive
Mary
producer?
Duffy.
Oh, sure. I knew Mary.
Yeah, of course. And she would leave a list on her front door of every segment, the highest rated segment of every show, and which producer had it. So there would be competition among these.
It's like making the school
internally
play.
too.
You see your name on
Oh yeah,
the
so
door.
we'd look.
My competition was with the other host.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, well, maybe I didn't get into that minutia
You were spared.
as much as the executive producer did.
I was going to say, because
But I'm telling you, we as talk show hosts back then, there were 20 of us on air
that's unbelievable.
from the late 80s through the early 2000s, and there were another 50 who didn't work.
Oh, it was unbelievable. We could name them probably together. I don't think Sarah would have remembered
get to 20.
You know, the Mark Wahlberg, but not that Mark Wahlberg, and Tempest Bledsoe and Carney Wilson, and I mean, so many shows came and went. When I was a production assistant, they sent me undercover one year to all the new shows that were taping to take notes on their sets, to get an idea of what they were doing, what was working, and I'd come back and report.
Everybody realizes how competitive.
It is. But I said this to you backstage. I have such respect for people that worked on these shows. Anytime I get a resume for an internship or a production assistant or anything else, and I see a history of working on those shows, I immediately give it a second look, a third look, because you are put in a grinder, and especially if you can get through it, because it never stops. It's all the time. There's something basic about working. You know, the guests on these shows are real people. These are real stories, and they're not always the most reliable people in the world. And being forced to rely on the unreliable while producing a multi-million-dollar television show is tough.
Yeah, here's the thing. It probably costs, I would say back then, $25 to $50 million a year to produce the show.
Right.
And therefore, there were hundreds of millions of dollars at stake.
Right.
From sponsors and individual. See, people don't understand, in syndication, individual stations buy the show.
Yeah.
for instance, Oprah, I'm telling you, Channel 7 in New York for the Oprah Winfrey Show had to spend millions and millions of dollars just to get the show exclusively. And that's just one town.
Right. Right.
Wow.
And Oprah was, of course, from a ratings perspective, always the white whale. She was the one you wanted to beat. And
it was, and yet Oprah in the beginning, you know, she was a little bit like the rest of us.
Yeah.
I mean, she would kind of go to the edge of the envelope. I mean, I remember, and it's in the show, in the documentary, she brings out 67 pounds of fat.
Oh, yeah.
To show the audience.
That was legendary.
You remember that?
Yeah. Do you miss it after? Cause
No, I don't miss it. I think, you know, I think it ended. I mean, look, when it ended, I was 83 years old. I had told NBC, which owned the show, 4 years previously, I think I'll hang it up. And they said, no, do 2 more years. You'll understand this. Just do 2 more years. Okay, and I did 2. And then they said, well, just do 2 more. And so finally in 22, I said, that's enough. And as usual, the media picks the story up. Maury canceled. I was never canceled.
No, you chose to leave.
I retired.
Right.
And so, you know, it was great. I don't miss it, but at the same time, I think it kept me young.
Yeah. It gives you a day-to-day excitement and purpose and an urgency. But one thing I want to ask you is, as the host, so as a viewer, I'd watch, and anything you were going to present to me, you were one of the trusted ones, I'd watch. But some of the topics that are covered in those shows, I want to see the moment the producer comes to the host and says, so today, this is, and was there ever a point where you're like, this has gone too far?
Well, I'll tell you, I think what happened was that I knew where my place was. Jerry Springer and I were friends forever. We started actually the same year in 1991.
Wow.
He started his show, I started my show, and we had known each other. And so Jerry gave me the greatest kind of compliment. He said, here's the thing, Maury. Your show is the real deal, and my show is wrestling.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and so therefore, I was never going to do wrestling.
Right.
Other people would.
Yeah.
Not me. It was just not in my DNA.
All the shows I worked on were real also. And I would always have people come up to me.
Montel was good.
Yeah. No, sure. Montel was very much.
And by the way, a big part of this documentary.
He is. And it was interesting to watch it from that perspective. He talked about how his mother called and said she didn't like it when he pushed the edge too much and wanted him to dial it back a little bit. So he tried to do that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've got paternity people on speed dial still to this day from working at the Montel Williams show. And, you know, all the people that worked on these shows, but people would come up to me and say, you know, is it real? That's all fake. And I said, if it was fake, this would be easy. Right. It's not fake. It's real. These are real people with real problems. And, you know.
And what happened was, after that moment in 1996 with the Jenny Jones show.
Yes, which is horrific.
And there was a murder after the show because they didn't inform the guests what was happening. And after that show, boy, the business affairs people, all the legal departments, our whole pre-show routine with guests changed. There pages and pages of contracts that the guests had to sign. We could not surprise them with anything.
Yeah.
And so I think all shows did a little something different after that.
So I was a conflict producer. That was my wheelhouse. I was one of those people. Yeah.
That explains a lot.
It does. Well, it really got me ready for the View.
Hey, by the way, I was going to say, but worked out, didn't it, Sarah?
Yes, that was the essay he submitted for this
Exactly. But I mean, you have to be put in some pretty tough positions sometimes, and people get very upset. I remember one time I was doing a lie detector show for Ricky Lake, and the woman failed the lie detector test. I may have implied to her that I thought she was going to pass it in beforehand and that she should be confident going in. And she walked off the stage, and, you know, the producer's job is to go back and get them to go back out there. So I went out there, and so the woman took a swing at me, like a huge, I actually, it's the only time I left, I ducked under a punch. It was pretty good. And I got her back out there, but I'm saying, like, you know, you're in the middle of this stuff.
Sure.
You're in the middle of this all the time. The woman's afraid of olives and screaming or whatever is going on.
You know, it brought back a lot of memories, Ricky's show, because she was a little different because she was so young.
Yes.
She was like 23 years old.
Yeah.
She had come out of this film that she was
Hairspray.
Hairspray.
from Hairspray, and she had come out of that John
Waters. Yeah,
right?
John Waters.
Who, by the way, I used to interview years ago. John was from Baltimore, Maryland.
That's right.
I did all my stuff in Washington, so I knew John. Anyway, Ricky was so young. I mean, the rest of us are in our 40s, 50s, whatever, and she's out there at 23, and all of a sudden gets a young audience.
Yeah.
Because most talk show viewers are older.
Yes.
They're like 50 plus and things like that. But she had all this, and so therefore, all of us said, "Oh boy, we got to start going young here."
How do we get the young audiences?
Young audience.
And I know how. Fat babies. Let me tell you.
I
That
did.
was key. That was
I
key
did.
for Maury. I love the Fat Baby shows.
Do you know about that? So South Park. Did you watch the South Park episode?
Yes.
South Park brutalized on an episode. And part of it was because we had fat babies on the show and things like that. And the mothers have to tell everybody all the stuff that they feed their babies. And South Park just killed me. So I called them up.
Oh, did you?
I called them up, and they won't answer the phone. The two guys.
Shut up.
Trey and
I
Matt.
call them up. I call them up. No. Finally, somebody answers, and they said, because they assumed I was all pissed off
Yeah.
and
Right.
everything. I said, "Would you do me a favor? You guys just killed it. I mean, it was just perfect. What unbelievable satire. Could you send me some of your original cells of that shows? I'd like to put them on my
that's
wall."
great.
And they did.
Good for you.
That's how you handle
Good
it.
for you.
That's
That's the way I handled criticism throughout.
Sure.
yeah.
That's it. I mean, accept it and just move on.
No, and it was very successful for a reason. It was resonating with people, and people wanted to watch it, and it was an escape for some, and it
Right.
did actually help people, I
Sure.
think. Yeah.
You talked a little bit about some of that criticism. Did you ever feel your show was threatened at the time when it came to some of the politicians and
Well,
people?
it was interesting. I mean, look, I had media critics on me all the time. I mean, Tom Shales, the Pulitzer Prize winning television critic of the Washington Post. My father was the sports writer of the Washington Post for 75 years, so the Post was dear to us. And so Shales writes this terrible review. He calls me every S word in the world: sordid, smarmy, you name it, all these words. So I called up my father and I said, "Dad, don't show this to Mom today. I mean, they read the paper every morning. This is a little, no, son, go about your business. It's all right." Yeah. I said, no, this is pretty brutal here. I said, "Shales has really done it to me." He says to me, "Well, I helped to hire Tom Shales at the Post." I said, "Yeah, Dad, but I'm your son." He said, "Yeah, you are my son, but good writers are hard to find."
Wow.
You know what? This is what
My father would
keeps
do the
you-
same.
Keeps him so humble and grounded.
Yeah.
Someone had to keep you there.
Right, exactly.
That's amazing. Well, I know we talked about the paternity test before,
Sure.
and they've kind of defined a little bit of your legacy in
Sure.
talk shows, and really everyone did them. You're 100% right. Everybody did them.
Yeah, but somehow we did them different.
Yes.
Or people accepted them more.
I think so. Why is that, do you think?
I think more than anything else, it was over the years, the connection I made with the guests before they would ever come on the show, and they felt that they could unburden themselves. And so therefore felt that I was a safe space and that I was kind of, an older uncle or member of the family. Yeah. I had already knocked on their door, been invited into their house. And so therefore they felt that they were going to get a fair shake. And that even if the live audience turned on them, they knew that I had their back, and that first of all, I felt it took courage just to come on the show.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
did. No, it definitely did.
Yeah.
And by the way, all the women who came on my show multiple times
Yeah.
to find the father. So therefore, I think that because of that, it resonated not only with the guests, but it resonated with the viewers.
Do they send you pictures of their babies? Because when I go to my OB's office delivering babies, there are pictures everywhere of all the babies they've delivered. I imagine there's an office somewhere that has all the babies of
With
Maury.
paternity,
Yeah.
Maury determined.
There's what what was gratifying to me was that the show was on so long, 20 years after the show, to find out if the father, if the father got involved with the child, we would bring them back.
Wow.
20 years later. And the father not only got involved with the child, but went back with the woman, and they became a family, and they had more kids. And so that's
sweet,
why every time the critics used to get on my back, I said, yeah, you can do that, but I'll rest my hat on that.
I can't help but wear my producer hat, and I'm just thinking now, when you do the math, you could probably do paternity tests for children you've established paternity for now.
Yes,
Their kids.
absolutely.
Of course.
I think this is a special. I don't know who's listening right now.
And I'm sure there are those out there
I think we're ready
that are
for
going
this
through
now.
the same thing.
Well, and are there
Exactly.
any guests that kind of still stick in your mind? Because there were a lot of fat babies, but there were also a lot of you are the father.
Yeah.
But are there any that don't?
There are. We used to do a phobia show.
Okay.
And we used to have people who came on who had these huge phobias for the strangest things. Like a woman was scared of pickles.
Yes.
That's what the pickle rat.
This went viral recently again. It's come back out there.
Millions and millions. And so what we would do is we would have to present this person with their phobia. So it brought out a barrel of pickles. She runs off the stage. It's just terrible.
I mean, it's just hysterically
And then, of course,
horrible.
we get this aftercare of this guy that's going to hypnotize her, and so she can handle a pickle later on. The most amazing one was a woman was scared of cotton balls.
Ooh.
You know, like every intern in the world were like this. We dressed up the intern head to toe
This would have been
in
Brian.
cotton balls.
Yes, it would have been me.
In cotton balls.
Yes. So it's a cotton ball
And
man.
the cotton ball man comes out. Woman runs through the audience scared to death.
No, so I mean, so my job, and you had a whole team of people doing this, was to talk the people into doing it that were reticent at first. And I think you're 100% right. Having someone like you as the host, having Montel as my host when I did it, made it easier because you're compassionate.
Sure, Montel had the compassion that some didn't.
Absolutely. But that was just sitting there and explaining to them why they should do this and why it made sense for them to do it, and then dealing with the aftermath when maybe they weren't thrilled about it. Right. I went through a lot doing that job, but it was and this was an era where people had pagers. So everybody, so my pager would go off at 11 o'clock at night, and so didn't pick up their tickets at the airport.
Yeah, they missed the flight.
They missed the flight,
or they got drunk, or they
or they showed up and they don't have any teeth. There was a lot of that stuff. It was,
we used to have a dentist on call.
Yeah. I had one too, Dr. West. I hope he's well. But it's because this was a world. You didn't have iPhones to take photos of people and stuff like that. So you talk to someone on the phone, you try to get a feel for them, and you have to ask difficult questions on the phone before they show up.
Like, do you have teeth?
Do you have teeth? Do you have all your appendages? Or do you have a hump of some kind?
Right.
This was the world we were in, and it was a whole.
But you have a podcast now called On Par.
Yeah, On Par with Maury Povich. My wife.
Who we love.
Yeah.
Yes, an icon.
And so she said, you had this career 25, 30 years before you ever did talk shows, determining the birth of every single kid in America. And
or the size of that baby.
Yeah. And so why don't you do a podcast and make sure that you... And so I'm doing this podcast. And it's the first time in my life, after 70 plus years in this business, that I can talk about myself, that I can talk about my experiences vis-a-vis my guests and their experiences. I've got, this week is a terrific guy named Josh Johnson, one of the great young comics in the country. He reminds me so much of George Carlin. He's just terrific.
Wow, that's high praise. Speaking of Connie, your wonderful wife, was it an adjustment for the two of you when you weren't doing the show anymore? I'm curious about that. Like when you're home all the time now?
I play a lot of golf.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
And so
so you're not home a lot.
I'm not home a lot. And it's we don't see each other much during the day, but some people say, what's the key to 41 years together or something? I said, well, here it is. I believe that when the head hits the pillow, there are no more arguments. Fresh the next morning.
Yeah.
And Connie says, that's all well and good. And my reason for this marriage to last is the next morning I still have the grudge.
How did you guys meet?
We met many years before we got married. We met. I was I was working in Washington at a local station, which is now the Fox station, and I was doing the news, and I was doing a talk show, daytime talk show, and she was hired as the news director's secretary, and we didn't think much of her, didn't pay any attention until the first job that opened up was a weekend writing job on the desk. And so she wanted the job. She goes to the news director and says, I want that job. And the director says, no, you're my secretary. No. She says, no, I want that job. And then he says, you can't get the job until you replace yourself. She walks out of the newsroom, across the street, into the bank, looks at the first woman teller and says, you want to be in TV? Come with me.
How about
and
that?
that's how she started
Shut
her
up.
career.
That's amazing.
That's an amazing.
That is amazing.
And she never stopped.
Never stopped.
But when did
she was at the station for maybe 2 years, and then she gets hired at CBS Bureau in Washington to write with all the Watergate stuff going on and everything, and she makes her mark.
Did you guys keep in touch? Like you, or how?
Later on, she moves to L.A. I decide, after many, many years in Washington, to try to work somewhere else, maybe. And so I worked in 5 different cities in 7 years, and I end up, one of the cities was LA. She was the big anchor superstar. I was her second banana, and I get hired, and 6 months later they change managers, and I get fired. And I always say that in order for Connie Chung to love you, she must first pity you.
Yes.
So since she was the only one I knew in L.A., she kind of pitied me, and then we started dating.
That's adorable.
I had gotten a divorce.
Pity's key to most of my relationships.
But we dated like 7.5 years. Not exclusively. She was
For
dating,
both of you, or?
No, yeah, because she was dating Hollywood stars, and
sure.
As she says, you don't even know the first names of the people you dated.
She could have been right there. We don't know.
This is all amazing. Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
This was
you.
wonderful.
This was great.
Good
really
to see
fun.
you.
Good to see you
Good
too.
Dirty Talk, when daytime talk shows rule TV, premieres Wednesday, January 14th on ABC and streams the next day on Disney Plus and Hulu. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back on Behind the Table tomorrow with Joy Behar and Alyssa. That'll be great. Thank you, guys.